So I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see that Halle Bailey is being casted to play Ariel in The Little Mermaid. For the record, I'm saying Halle Bailey, not Barry. These are two completely different people. Halle Bailey is an R&B singer. I'm a little bit out of the loop with music these days, so I'm more familiar with her work on the show Grownish. Anyway, there are people who had a problem with the casting choice for Ariel. I saw this backlash coming a mile away because Ariel in the popular 1989 animated version was white. This news spurred the typical shit you would expect to hear whenever black people are casted in roles where the original character's identity is not central to the storytelling. The best person should get the role, or some shit about PC culture and inclusion, blah, blah, blah. Nothing new here, right? Now, what I did find interesting were people who said, "You'd be mad if they made Princess Tiana white." I found this argument so interesting because it appeared to be the first time I saw conservative arguments that recognize that identity of a character can be crucial in the storytelling. I thought someone was going to make the argument that mermaids are of Greek culture, so it would be more appropriate to cast a Greek actor, thus increasing the visibility of the culture in media or something like that. I would have said that these were valid positions, and I would probably be making a completely different type of video if people were making this point. But none of these people really seemed all that concerned about Greek representation when they brought up the origins of mermaids. They would never take the next logical step and advocate for Greek actors. The big red flag that this is about race and that representation is the fact that the comments turned into huge circle jerks about how distinctly European mermaids are. They don't really seem to care which culture in particular mermaids belong to, nor do they care how the culture is represented in film. They just want Ariel to be some sort of white person. Polish Ariel is fine. Greek Ariel is fine. Hans Christian Andersen's Ariel is fine. As long as Ariel isn't black, she's fine. They don't care that there's nothing in the original version that reflects the cultures they claim mermaids originated from. There was a Caribbean crab that sang calypso songs, so there is literally nothing European or Greek about this movie. The characters were just white. The truth of the matter is that folk tales of fish-people hybrids are found in ancient cultures throughout the world. You'll see similar creatures in ancient Mesopotamian folk tales, West African tales, Korean, Chinese, Thai, the list goes on. Many cultures have similar folklore without having any previous interaction with other cultures. I'm no expert on mythological studies, but I can imagine the reason this happens is because some thoughts are just kind of universal for people to think. You don't have to be a novelist to think, "Oh, damn, drowning sucks. Wouldn't it be cool if I didn't have to worry about that shit?" You know, like, what if I was a fish man or some shit? People observe the natural world, see that animals have their niches and aptitudes, and then they ponder what life would be like if they had these aptitudes combined with their own. It's called imagination. I did find it interesting that one person pointed out that a character's identity can be influential to the plot elements of the story, and changes to this identity could warrant plot changes so drastic that the finished product is nothing like the source material. This is actually true, but does it hold water in discourse about The Little Mermaid's casting, though? Let's look at Under the Same Moon, a movie about a boy named Carlito who illegally migrates to America in hopes to find his mom. Now, if I casted a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white kid, would this make sense in the story, or would I have to change some plot elements to accommodate? Should I write in some explanation about Carlito's appearance in comparison to his other family members, or should I just change the whole family? Will this blonde-haired white family in Mexico break the immersion? Probably. Okay, well, let's just change the location to Nebraska. Carlito is from Mexico and everything, but they're in Nebraska. But doesn't their ostensibly white appearance make it drastically less likely that anyone would question their legal status by just looking at them? Nebraska is also not a border state, so the realities of being undocumented in this location will be drastically different than if they were in the original locations, Texas and California. Okay, let's just move this whole setting of the film to the distant future where Canada invaded the U.S. and claimed huge chunks of the Midwest. Nebraska is now a border state, and For some reason, having blonde hair is a signifier of being from Canada. Carlito is from Canada now. This works, I guess, but can we even call this a reboot? It has similar plot elements, but it feels more like a shameless ripoff than a reboot. Might as well just give it a different name at this point. Okay, now let's do this same exercise with The Little Mermaid. It's a movie about a 16-year-old fish girl thing that wants to be a land girl or something. She meets some land boy named Eric, and they do land people stuff or something, and but she's really a fish girl. But then this octopus lady does some shit she's not supposed to, and then I think everything works out or something because Ariel becomes the thing she wanted to be or whatever. All of these plot elements are written around her being a fish girl. If I were to do a reboot of this tale, I really could cast any woman as long as she kind of looks like a teenager. Ariel could be played by an Asian woman, and it wouldn't really affect the plot at all. Ariel can't be a centaur, though. This change would fuck up a lot of things, even the title. This is why the whole "you be mad if they made Princess Tiana white" argument is interesting by itself, but stupid when making this point in a conversation about Little Mermaid. No shit, people would be mad if they made Tiana white. The movie is grounded in Tiana's identity as a southern black woman. Entire plot elements were written around the location, time period, and her identity. They'd have to rewrite the whole fucking story for a white Tiana to even make sense. Same with Black Panther. So let's address the elephant in the room here. Does being bothered by a black Ariel make you a racist? Yeah, I'd say so. The whole uproar about all of this reminds me of D.L. Hughley's quote, "The most dangerous place for black people to live is in white people's imagination." The quote is a bit heavy-handed for my tastes, but I agree with the sentiment here. Racism in the context of Western society is grounded in white supremacy because the originators of the very concept of race were what we would call white today. White supremacy is why many people view whiteness and proximities to whiteness as a sort of universal standard or baseline of normalcy. Anyone who deviates too far from whiteness is viewed as an other type of person and can only exist within the boundaries of what racists think this type of person is or ought to be. People are fine with black people in movies about the civil rights movement or drug dealing, but cast a black person as a lead role in a movie about aliens and many people will feel as if something is being taken away from white actors. Whenever a role is not grounded in any particular identity, many people feel as if it's natural for the role to be filled by a white person. These people never question why Ariel was drawn white to begin with. She just was because, of course she was. And because she was white in the past, she always should be. Another thing these people don't really seem to consider is representation. There are countless white Disney princesses, while there are only 2 representations of black princesses so far, and Ariel will be the 3rd. This matters because it's psychologically healthy for kids to see approximations of themselves positively represented in the media. It helps children associate themselves with positivity. Representation has gotten a lot better within the last 10 years, but it's still very easy for darker complexion children, especially girls, to internalize the combination of positive portrayals of whiteness and the lack of positive portrayals of blackness. Funny thing here is that this is the sort of thing many people would tell us to get over. These people think that labeling theory or cultivation theory are bullshit in the context of minority representation or sexism, but use similar premises to suggest that SJWs are pushing an agenda. So, what is it? Does media affect how people perceive others or doesn't it? If it doesn't, why do you care about SJWs and their agenda? And if it does have an effect, why don't you think minorities and women have legitimate concerns about representation? The bottom line here is that Ariel doesn't have to be white. The story is only grounded in her identity as a teenaged mermaid. As long as a youthful, woman-presenting person puts on a fish suit, the casting director did their job. If you are a grown-ass adult complaining about a character in a little kid's movie having the wrong skin color, You are on bullshit right now. Racist bullshit. Ariel is black this time, so get over it.